Live stream. So, hello everyone, and welcome to Cosmic Conversations. I'm your host, Sheila Seppi, and I'm so excited that you are all here tonight with us, watching us on Zoom or being in our live audience or either watching us on any of our Conscious Awakening platforms. Thank you so much for being here. Tonight, I have a special co host that is Kiara Windrider, and I want to go ahead and Kiara, I'm going to bring you up real quick because I would like for you to tell people just a little bit about some of the exciting things going on before we bring up our guest for tonight. And our guest is Adrian Vallera with Disclosure Fest. So we have a lot of exciting news happening tonight. Hey, Adrian, thanks for being here. So
Yeah.
I want to go ahead now and bring you up, Kiara. So thank you so much for being here tonight. What's
Oh,
going
thank you,
on?
Sheila. So, well, what an exciting time this is. And I feel like every day, every moment is becoming uh, this roller coaster of awakening. And we're getting closer and closer to this time, which also tends to freak out a lot of people because much happens in such a short space of
True.
time. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's hard for our heart, mind, or spirit to really contain all this. And so what I've been feeling to do is to really get a big picture of what's happening and understand the journey. And then we can prepare, then we can actually do our part in manifesting this great shift that's taking place. And, for me, it helps to know that it's happening anyway. It's Gaia's own program, it's her destiny. We are simply part of her. And so it's really not up to us. It is to some extent, but we are part of Gaia. So it's not like a weight we have to carry on our shoulders. We don't have to worry about what we're doing to this planet. We need to be aware, but at the same time, it's really nothing we can do that can ultimately hurt Gaia,
Yeah.
that can ultimately um, um, detour her from this evolutionary plan. And that makes me feel better. It's like, yeah, humans can be a little bitsy at times. We can be a little bit, you know, un, un, unaware, to
I'm
say
having
that.
a little hard time hearing him. Is it me? I have my speaker about as
Um,
loud as I can go.
okay, let me see if I can turn up the microphone.
I can increase my volume as well.
Could you? It's just I'm straining a little bit, and I'm wondering if I'm the
I'll,
only
I'll
one.
come closer to the mic. How's this?
Oh, me too. I couldn't
That's
hear
much better.
hear. It's
That's
real
much
soft.
better,
Yeah.
Kiara.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, so let me get close to the mic and then I'll just speak as loud as I can. Does that help? All right.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, so here we are, at this time of shift. I know Adrian's going to be talking about the Disclosure Fest. We're going through a time when things have been covered up and hidden and need to be revealed on all levels, mental, emotional, spiritual. But this is the time, no matter what happens on the outside, that there's a initiation taking place within the earth, within the human species. And it's such an exciting time to be here. And I'm so grateful out of all the places I could ever be in this great big universe to be here on this planet, because this is where the action is. And once we go through this shift, my sense is that there'll be this huge ripple effect across the universes,
Yeah.
which will touch every single planet in existence, every single galaxy. I mean, we don't really understand how holographic reality works, but I feel like this Earth is a microcosm of the universe, and that we are a microcosm of the Earth. So we are the nervous system of the Earth, and as we are, so becomes everything else. So it's a huge responsibility plus an enormous privilege to be here now. So I don't know how much you want me to say, Sheila, but maybe I could stop for now and then we
Oh,
can continue with the dialogue later.
Yes, maybe at the end we can talk about the workshop that you have coming up.
All right.
So, okay, well, great. Thank you so much, Kiara. And before I bring up our speaker, I have to tell you, when I found out about this guy, my heart just melted. He is one heck of a sweetheart. He's the founder of the Disclosure Fest Foundation, which is a multicultural initiative, and it's a community-based nonprofit. And they have like 6 different heartfelt programs that they're involved in. Everything from, working with youth to the elderly to disclosure to helping to feed people, and it's like, my gosh, what a heart this guy has. And when you talk about people operating from a place of heart, Adrian does. And I met him earlier this year. And honestly, some people just exude love, and this guy does. And I had to bring him on to share a little bit about himself and a little bit about the projects, and especially about a huge event coming up in November called Disclosure Fest. So, Adrian, come on up, my friend, and tell everybody all about you.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, Sheila. Really appreciate it, and all of you for being on and hosting this event with Sheila. And yeah, so I'm really excited with all the stuff that's happening on the planet. And I think we've talked about it a little bit, that most of all the stuff that I tend to put some of my energy into is mostly it's really all like divinely guided, and it's very intentional, and there's so much purpose behind it all. So yeah, and with this event that we're doing in November in Las Vegas at the Luxor Hotel, called Stairway to the Stars. Again, that's another one that I never thought I would be doing an event in Vegas. And definitely on the Vegas Strip, and that's definitely someplace I feel like I should be avoiding. And yeah, Spirit just was really strong about doing it at that exact location, and to shift some important grids and timelines. And but in doing that, we're going to bring all the people together and to support this activation, but then also have such an amazing event planned for it, which I guess the event's going to be more of like the celebration behind the grid work. Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. But as far as I just surrendered to a life of service after being in the music industry for many years, and I've never been so fulfilled. So to me, it's just more about creating a container to help in the activation, so that people can remember to serve, and that's really all that Disclosure Fest Foundation is.
That's beautiful.
And it's important.
Can you tell us a little bit about each of the programs that you're involved in, and if people would like to become part of it, how they could do so?
You mean like the initiatives?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah.
The 6 initiatives.
So we have 6 initiatives, and we're going to add a 7th, hopefully next year. So much to do. So, but yeah, we have our mass meditation initiative, which is now one of the largest mass meditations in the world, and it happens in Los Angeles. Next one's in June, summer solstice, 2024. It gets upwards of 22,000 people in person, and many thousands more on the live stream. And again, it's just more of an activation for people to come with us and help us on the weekends, where we have our Feed Our Souls initiative, where we'll do anywhere from 500 to 1,000 care packages that contain meals, hygiene kits, socks, towels, and other essentials for our neighbors, our neighboring families that are living in different encampment areas around Los Angeles and other communities that we do Feed Our Souls in. We have also our Starseed initiative, We've teamed up with dozens of children's schools where we go into these schools to facilitate a conscious curriculum. So we'll take over a school for a day, and we'll have yoga teachers and meditation teachers and sound healers, all sorts of conscious curriculums you can bring in, and we'll feed the whole school plant-based foods and just teach very many things about like agriculture and sustainability and recycling and all sorts of fun things that these children can go back and teach their parents, because we're all living in this program matrix. So what better way than to learn about how to shift and get out of the matrix than from your child. Right. So and then
Beautiful.
we have our Every Elder initiative, which is we go to different assisted living, nursing homes, that kind of situation. And so many of our elders, and we do this with another foundation called Alma. And the beauty behind that one is most of our elders that have been put into these homes or are in these homes are dealing with like severe loneliness. And a lot of them have been abandoned. So it's really beautiful to have an activation with our volunteer staff, and sharing within this, and like re-sparking an activation within our elders, because we can sit down and listen to life experience and get them to kind of going back into their memory banks of when they felt fully activated within their lives. And it just kind of helps that activation propel forward. It's such a beautiful initiative. You want to list them all. There's a lot, so it's going to take time.
Absolutely.
There's our clean air initiative we've done, where we plant trees, restore forests and waterways, and we've done over 40 approaching 50,000 trees, and we've helped with the waterways being restored on 3 different mountains. So that's really beautiful to see that. When in 2018 we've been working on this one mountain in Santa Monica for decades, tree people for decades, and we joined later. And it was beautiful seeing that there's a creek that goes from the ocean up into the Santa Monica Mountains that for a decade or more, the steelhead trout weren't able to migrate up. And it was 2018, actual Valentine's Day, where the steelhead trout made it up the river finally for the first time, and bred for the first time. So it's like things like that, where it's just like you're just really supporting Gaia, and she's supporting you. Another initiative, we have our beach and river cleanup initiative, where thousands of pounds of trash that we do on the rivers and the beaches. So really it's all about serving. So in our construct that we've created here, we've packed it so dense with survival that and we've done it. We're creators. A lot of people are like, oh, it's the government. It's like we created this construct, and we packed it so dense that we really don't have time to serve. And by not serving, we have dormant activation, ascension keys within us. So part of these dormant keys, to reactivate them, it really calls for service. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of why I was Spirit just instructed to start this foundation, and hope we spread the do-goodery.
Do-goodery, I love that word.
Yeah.
That is beautiful. Adrian, just imagine if everybody was out planting trees, and if everyone dropped into that deep sense of service that you're talking about. How would this planet shift? What would things look like? And I know, Kiara, in some of your books, you talk about the Gaia Connection. Well, everything is about the Gaia Connection, and how, we are part of the nervous system of Gaia. Can you bring in that little bit of a teaching, and how this work that Adrian is doing is so impactful for Gaia?
Well, what is Gaia except us?
You're on mute. You're on mute,
Um,
Kiara. There you are.
no,
Perfect.
okay, yeah, all right. So we are Gaia. Everything that's on this planet is an aspect of Gaia. And it's the forgetfulness of that which creates all the imbalance on this earth. So all these projects that you're doing, Adrian, it's about restoring that balance. It's about recognizing that we are part of a much greater whole than just our own personal self and our selfish need to take from the earth and from each other. And rather, it's about giving back and creating a flow, a balance of life. So the Inca tradition talks about this Aini. So Aini represents the flow of life. It's the balance between giving and receiving. And it starts with giving. So when you give, the receiving always comes back because you recognize yourself then as part of the whole.
Yeah.
Most people start with needing to take, and then it becomes an endless cycle of taking without giving back, without coming into balance. And then it's the personal self runs away with itself. And at that point, you just become a little piece of cancer upon the earth, which, is sad because we're here for so much more. We're here to be part of this interdependent web of life, so much potential and beauty. And we cut ourselves off from that when we get stuck in one side of the cycle rather than the continual flow. So what you're seeing is, what you're doing, Adrian, is first recognizing what this flow means. What is it that brings us back into balance? And then active participation with others, inspiring other people to go do the same. And, so as Sheila was asking, what if everybody planted 1,000 trees? What if everybody decided to take care of their neighbor in every way possible? What if everyone decided that someone else's hunger is my own? Someone else's need is my own, because we are part of each other's world. We are literally each other in this, in this web of life. So it's a way of perception, and I think that's what we're stepping into. I think what we're going through, what we call the shift, is a shift of paradigm. It's a shift of perception. It's a shift of density, where we no longer are isolating ourselves on this earth. We become part of this grand whole where we support Gaia as a living entity into her next evolutionary cycle.
Perfect.
Beautiful.
So well said, brother. Yeah, that's so beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, Adrian, I was wondering, you said that you were in the music industry and then now you're doing this. Was there one key moment that really called you, that caused this shift inside of you? Was there something that kind of just flipped a switch and said, hey, this is what I have to do?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. I mean, the music, even before the music industry, I felt like the same thing, the same calling. Like, so I actually went into the music industry to bring consciousness. I felt like, like I was one of those people that would sit there and read like the lyrics in the CD, booklet, and I would be in my room and I would be like, oh, wow, this is so powerful. There's so many people all over the world that are like really absorbing these lyrics, of all these artists. I was like, man, what if this lyrics had conscious content, So I'm like, I'm going to go in the music industry and see if I can do this. And I spent 22 years in the music industry, and I was very frustrated because it was every time I finally break through to an artist that starts putting it into their music, like Brandon from Incubus and Surge from System of a Down, it felt like the music industry itself would make them conform to the cookie cutter construct that was kind of what it is. So I was like, why am I spending so much time in the music industry? This is such a waste, but really, I left discouraged, but then ultimately I started in as a concert promoter where I found bands that became multi-platinum bands. So I discovered bands. Then I went to record labels where I get to sign bands and work with albums, but then I would go on every floor of the label and be like, I need to learn radio. I need to learn sales. I need to learn all of it. So I really absorbed the industry. Even though I left discouraged, it wasn't until after I left and I started writing a movie that has been in my head forever. And I finally got it funded and was about to start shooting it, and then when I got a transmission during meditation to like put it on hold and start this. So I guess that's the moment that you're talking about, even though the music industry was a huge moment, even though it wasn't successful in what I was trying to do. I gained so much knowledge on how to work with getting things out to the masses that now I'm doing it through. Now we got one of the largest mass meditations in the world. I wouldn't have been able to figure that out without the music industry, so it all kind of worked together.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And so now you have this huge meditation. You've got this huge conference coming up in November. Can you tell us about that? Who the speakers are, what the intention is?
Yeah. So, this one is going to be at the Luxor in Las Vegas, and it's on November 10, 11, and 12. So it's a 3-day conference. So some of the speakers that we'll have is like Jimmy Church and Bashar and Jason Shirka, Elizabeth April, all the Ancient Aliens guys, David Childress, Nick Pope, William Henry, and just Randall Carlson, Caroline Corey, Richard Dolan, so many people. I mean, there's over 60 speakers. And so we'll be doing multiple mass meditations there, working on the ley line that I found out recently was the strip was built on a ley line. So and the pyramid is not just a pyramid, and it's definitely all by design, and we're there to do some really important work. So we've gathered a lot of light workers. I've never actually done the vendor coordinating myself. As you know, I was doing this because Spirit told me to get all the right people there. So that means even the right vendors. So, so we've gathered all the best ancient technology builders of things, and we got there's so much happening. Some of the crystal skulls. It's such an amazing event. So on Saturday evening, we'll have some buses that you can get a separate ticket. I booked a 10 acres, 3 miles outside of Area 51, and we'll be doing a sky watch with only 4 buses. That's only 200 people get to go to that part. But the conference itself, it's 3 days, 3 full days. Sunday night, we have a dinner gala. And that one is raising funds for our initiatives that we do, but we're also bringing to Vegas. So on Monday, leading up to the event, we'll be doing 1,000 care packages and meals in the tunnels under the strip, which is where our home free sisters and brothers actually live, in these tunnels under the strip that is built on a ley line. Figure that out. And then on Tuesday we're going to go to a children's school and do a mass meditation to help with kind of like the energetics of the event. So there's a lot of moving parts with it. It's such an amazing event. You can go to disclosurefest.org, get some tickets, and join us, because it's you're gonna have a celebration with this awesome event and speakers and presentationers and vendors. But honestly, you're going to participate in a shift of a ley line that is a very potent ley line for our planet. And now we're going to take the energy back.
That's awesome. Now, does that ley line intersect with the ley line at Area 51?
That's a good question. I gotta look at that. I was because when Spirit showed me that there was a ley line there, because I didn't even know about it. She showed me just an aerial view of the strip. So So yeah, that'll be interesting to zoom out a little bit and see if it gets to Rachel, Nevada.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah, that's really interesting. Never even thought of it.
Great. Now, I know you're really invested in all of these initiatives, but is there one initiative that just, I mean, really pulls at your heart that you want to share with people to say, come on in, join us, help us out with this?
Yeah, I mean, really, it would be the two that really feel it's our children's initiative because the children are the keys,
Yeah.
and they're definitely programmed early on to kind of dull out the purity of the essence of the child. So they have so much that they can offer, and it's being suppressed. So that's really beautiful. And then our home free feed our souls initiative, which is really, like, I've discovered, a lot of these sisters and brothers have been going through their own shadow. And I've had a lot of discovery being in the Skid Row and so many different encampment areas where so many of these people are light workers, and now they're in this place where they're completely suppressed. So they've got themselves there, but they definitely need help to get themselves out, and they can do some really potent work on this planet. And it's a really good initiative that helps you kind of when you're helping someone that's has HIV and holding their pants up, hasn't not wearing any shoes, and you're handing them a plate of food and you're looking in their eyes. Now that's where you get a chance to see the reflection of yourself within them, and then that oneness of remembering that the cosmic oneness is kind of a reality. You actually leave with, like, comparing your shadow in a way, and just remembering that oneness within us, just seeing that reflection. Such an important one.
Yeah, that's really, really beautiful. And so people that are listening to this, I'm sure are, feeling a tug at their heartstrings and beginning to understand just a little bit about, the plight really that's going on, the plight of humanity. If they want to get involved or if they want to make a donation to you, how can they do that?
Yeah, amazing. We really appreciate it. It's very difficult for us to do what we do with so many initiatives. We don't have grants. We're a very skeleton crew, mostly volunteers that come in, and me here. And so donating is really important. If we feel called, disclosurefest.org. So that's the name of the website, disclosurefest.org. You can donate there. You can also sign up to volunteer, and when you do that, you can click to which initiative feels the most aligned in your hearts, because that's really where everything needs to align first. If it's aligned in your heart, then that tells you, like, let's step forward towards that reality. But yeah, those disclosurefest.org, and then Stairway to the Stars, same thing. The main page now is all about Stairway to the Stars today. So if you go there and check it out, and be cool.
It's awesome. Yeah. Yeah. I really honor the work that you're doing, and I honor the way that you have followed that calling of your heart. And I do encourage people, to check out the website. I'm sure $5, $10, $15 adds up. Just think of it, being able to help feed people, to work with the children, to help with the elderly programs, to plant trees. I know free. So, again, I really, from the depths of my heart, honor everything that you're doing. And we have a question, Soul Rays. Do you want to go ahead and ask your question?
Oh, sure. Hi. Hello, Sheila. Hi,
Hi,
everybody.
honey.
Thank you for taking my question. The projects you described are so fascinating. They're very enriching. So thank you for, facilitating something like that. And I think as we are, moving ahead in our progress, in our own evolution, we all have to think about what exactly are we contributing to this planet energetically. We have been thinking about these things, we've been meditating, but I think we have to start getting up from the meditation table to actually do something, to do work in the community, because that's another very active way that we can spread love and share. And most of all, when we each one do these things, we are an example to the next generation and to other people that just don't know what to do and don't even know what to ask. So I commend you highly with all the work that you're doing, because you're reaching different populations, different communities, and different people with different interests. So thank you. But I did have a question, a kind of a general question. And that has to do with the conference you're pulling together. It sounds huge. It sounds very, very fascinating and interesting. But I did notice you have people there from the list that have very different points of view. And some of them don't exactly see eye to eye, are complete opposites. So I guess when we come together in these kind of conferences and we're talking about changing a collective energy and meditating towards this collective goodwill, which one are we meditating for? Does that affect the outcome, because it's so many different points of view? So thank you. It's a general question.
Yeah, so we've always been this way with our events, and one of the things that it's a kind of like, not really like it's like an unwritten rule, but everyone kind of gets the memo, is that if you're most people, they talk about multiple things. So when most people, so there's going to be alignments in pretty much everything on some part of what some people are talking about. And one of the things that is important is that nobody really gets into anything that creates any type of separation. So when you're working with the collective and mass meditations, it's really important that that's one of the things. So I really am outspoken with everyone about these type of topics that can create any separation. Now, and that's really going to be the gist of it. People are going to get into so many different things. And, I remember, being in my activations in the early 90s, there's some people that I gravitated towards that I kind of stepped away from later, but I'm really grateful for the activation, because it helped me activate to a certain place to where, eventually all of these speakers and presenters and authors, we're going to have to step away from them eventually, because we're now our train is in motion, and now we're getting our channel is open, and now we're receiving. So it's not always the most, we have to stay focused on that, because honestly, as a producer in this world, I've gone through so many different people that are like, at one point I'm like, oh my God. And then at another point I'm like, man, I can't believe we had that person on there. So it's like, at some point you have to be like, the activation was so potent, and now I'm on my path, because, I use this analogy a lot, because we do this thing with the Mass Meditation Initiative. And, it's really cool that after the mass meditation, and let's say weeks later, someone comes to a tree planting. And I've heard this hundreds of times. Adrian, something happened to me at your event. I'm not the same person. So it's like creating that frequency where you might just trip and fall into a yoga studio and go, oh my God, what's this place? I'm going to start doing yoga. It's like you just created this vibration for somebody to just activate, and that's really what I think the most important part of it is, the activation.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Great question. Thank you so much. Hey, Susie, I see your hand up. You have a question?
Well, I I don't know if it's a question or just a Adrian, I heard you last year talk, and I haven't gotten to go yet. Actually, I did go, but I went physically, and it was a virtual thing. I didn't know it was. I went
Oh,
looking for it, and,
oh
but
wow.
yeah, I looked and I dressed for the occasion. It was great, but
Sounds like you
but
were like gritty with your plasma trail.
yeah, really. But I just so relate to your heart. It's just you know, I play music, and my parents were dying. I snuck away from my mom. She was a lot of work, and they had a Steinway piano, and a grand, beautiful piano. And pretty soon, I was playing every week for everybody. And you know, the difference. My sister came once, and she wasn't helping, and she said, "You don't have to play music for these people." And I just like it was the only thing. It was so beautiful reaching these hearts. So many people had been dropped off by their kids, and they just dropped them and never saw them again. People would cry and hug me, and I got to be everybody's like daughter that had left them. And it was
Mm,
just, I mean, it was just so precious. And it's kind of like the thing that people shy away from. My brother said, I can't do it. It's just too depressing taking care of mom and dad. But
yeah.
they missed all the good stuff, the reward. I've been playing that was about 12 years ago, and um, I can't stay away from nursing homes and assisted livings and senior centers because it's just so rewarding. It's
It
so
really
beautiful.
is. Oh,
Yeah.
I have
So
to
I
say
just,
that. So
yeah,
rewarding.
it
Yeah.
really is. It's just like the things that people are the most scared of is the things that are most fun if you just, get out and do them. And I know, what's his name? Russell Brand, when he was getting off all of his addictions, he said, well, they asked him how did he do it, and he said, well, I served in a lot of soup kitchens. There's something about serving people that don't have food, and I was a week from homeless twice, so I'm always down there. It was just the luck of the draw that somebody came to my rescue, and it was just like there was no difference than me than them. And when you said you look in their eyes and you see that we are the same, I mean, I just love you. And I got to
Oh, thank you.
meet Michelle Anderson. I know she helps a lot, and I've known her on Zoom forever, but Sheila opened the door for us to meet in San Diego, and I mean, it's just so beautiful to meet people in person that you've been on Zoom with forever, and
Mm.
I I just salute you so from the
Oh, thank
bottom
you.
of my heart.
Yeah, thank you for being there for your family and your community. It's it's yeah, I commend you because it's very difficult to get out of the construct and serve. So I really commend you and all of you because I know that you're all doing so many different things in so many different
Yeah,
ways. And
yeah,
and I appreciate the attention of how I'm serving, but honestly, like you all are serving in so many ways. And without each and every one of you, like the universe just wouldn't even exist. So, we are the wiring that keeps it all together.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
thank you, thank you, thank you.
I have a comment in the chat, and actually, someone is wondering if you could tell us about the awards that's on your wall
Oh,
or the records that's on the
yeah.
wall.
Yeah, they're like they're plaques. I mean, I'm sitting at my desk. I've been at a full workspace. I usually go downstairs and get into my living room that's more like spiritual looking with the lighting. But yeah, these are all the music industry plaques like of bands I found. Like that's Linkin Park. I found Linkin Park was a big, very big
Oh, yeah.
band. I found them. I was one of their first, producers, helped them put together, and Hoobastank, and I mean, there's so many bands there. So these are all like some of the bands that I worked with in the music industry and helped them develop from like a 20-person at their event to, to where they are, like selling out stadiums and things like that. So, but yeah, it's just my years in the music industry.
Yeah. Still being in service to people,
Yeah, yeah.
helping to promote them. I want to, Kiara, I'd love to have you to comment because I know that you recently had gone through being in service to your mom and being in service to your family, as well as being in service to Gaia. And I was wondering if you had any comments to share with us.
Yeah, good question. What's the difference? When you're talking about being in service to the mother, your biological mother, your planetary mother, it's all the same, really. It's the heart of open love, unconditional love. And what I have come to realize is that there is no other love but unconditional love. Everything else is dependence, neediness, codependence, fear. But unconditional love can only come for us when it's starting with loved ones close to us. And so just being with my mother during her last days helped me to just, really let go of personal stories. We all have personal stories, but how important are they? And the same thing goes for Mother Earth. We all have personal stories as humans, but how important is it in the larger context of life, in the larger context of planetary evolution? That's why we're here. That's why Mother Earth has chosen us to be here. Is it our choice? Is it hers? Does it matter? We are here. And we are here to be all that we are, every aspect of our being. At that point, it doesn't matter what we call ourselves, but there's this, impulse that moves through. And this can only happen when there's a sense of letting go of a story. And that takes time. It's a lifetime process. It always starts with the people closest to us, and then it moves out to larger communities, planets, universes, recognizing that we are fractally connected with everything. So, when the heart opens, life happens. And sometimes it takes life to open our hearts.
Beautiful, beautiful. So, Adrian, I want to know if there is one message that you want to share with people, maybe a question I didn't ask, or someone in the audience, the live audience, didn't ask. Is there something that you really want to share with people? Or if you just had one message to give people, what would that be?
Yeah, honestly, it's just the message that I got is if you can find, if you can make space in your life to serve. And that could be as easy as getting a case of water on a hot day and dropping it off at a homeless encampment, or get some friends together to clean up a community park, and just make sure that everyone's watching you do it, because that might spread a little bit, like same thing with anything where you can just put some time into stepping away from your daily routine, your daily construct, to be of service. And if you are a producer out there that does produce concerts or events or something, like, I would invite you to look at, bringing more of a conscious element and help spread that into your community. This way we could, just help in these activations. It's like two lighters. You got two lighters and you put them together and you got one flame. Let's get like thousands of people and create that one flame, and those energies together. Oh man, it's so powerful. I haven't been able to spend the money that it takes to do the research, but like when we took the Mass Meditation Initiative to Washington, D.C., we put the stage on the Lincoln Memorial steps, and we had over almost 20,000 people. And we were able to find out that in Washington, D.C. and New York, there was no violent crime or murder for 2 weeks, which is something that hasn't happened in, I don't know, well, honestly, there's no record of that happening. So just something that powerful to get people together and sharing that unity consciousness experience. This can just, that saves lives. So you can just step away from your community or your construct for just a little bit of time and start putting seeds and manifesting something that can really help activate so many people, or even if it's just one person. It's just, I think that's my message.
That's beautiful. And so in September, is this when you're going to hold the event? What day?
November.
Oh, it's
No,
in.
so think 11/11. So November 10, 11, and 12. So
Okay. That's
11,
going to be for the meditation, the mass meditation?
it's gonna be for Stairway to the Stars at the Luxor in Vegas,
Uh-huh.
which is gonna have a meditation every day.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Wonderful,
Yeah,
wonderful,
so
wonderful.
again, that's disclosurefest.org. Get your tickets and join us. It's going to be such an important activation.
That's amazing. Amazing. Well, I want to thank you for being here. And if you could spell out the Disclosure Fest for people, because one of the things is not only are we on the YouTube and social media platforms, our website, our on the phone apps live right now, but we also will be on, we now have launched our Conscious Awakening radio station, which is a global platform. Within the first just hours of turning that on, there was already 156 views or 166 listens, because it was going all across the globe.
Oh, so
And I
beautiful.
was just like, whoa, what, And so we also then have the audio on all of the major podcasting. So people can listen to this on, say, if they're hiking and they're listening to Spotify or Google or whatever. So for those people that are listening, can you go ahead and say that one more time and spell that for them?
Yeah, so if you wanted to get tickets, and even if you can't make it to Vegas, there's virtual tickets, so you can actually join in to the virtual, and that is disclosurefest.org. So that's DISCLOSURE, F as in Frank, EST.org. So disclosurefest.org. So fest is like festival, disclosurefest.org.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for being here with us tonight.
Thanks
I
for
really,
having me.
really, as I said, I really honor the work that you're doing. And I also want to, Kiara, have you to come up and talk just a little bit, because Kiara's here. Actually, he's here in my house. He's here in
Other room.
Colorado. That's right, in the other room. And there's a big weekend coming up. If you could tell people just a little bit about what you're going to be doing this weekend.
Yeah, thank you, Sheila. It's about shamanic healing practices from the Cuero Inca tradition. So, what does it mean to be a shaman? Sometimes people have very mystical ideas about it, but it's really about the development of love, wisdom, and power in balance, connecting with the upper world, the middle world, the lower world, allowing access to all three of them simultaneously, which is basically about expanding your worldview, expanding your perceptions. And so these practices that we'll be learning from the Cuero tradition have to do with expanding a sense of who you are as a human, merging the galactic aspect, the planetary aspect, and the human aspect through the use of electrical and magnetic currents that simultaneously move through the five bodies. So we're talking about the physical, etheric, emotional, mental, and soul bodies, bringing them into alignment, which is actually very simple. If we work with the electrical and magnetic flows, which are constantly moving across the universe. So how do we do this? So these are some of the practices of the Cuero, the Kogi, the Kiowa. Many of the elder brothers and sisters from the Andean traditions are now wanting to bring forward to share with the younger brothers, and which is us. We've forgotten. And they're simple practices, they're effective, they allow us to connect with the heart of the earth, with the soul of the earth, in a way that many of us have forgotten. So it's a 20-hour program. We'll be starting Friday, I think it's 1 to 9, and then Saturday Friday is 5 to 9.
5 to 9. Yeah, 5 to 9 tomorrow.
Saturday is 1 to 9, and then Sunday is 9 to 5. And it's also, it's both in person and online, so people can choose. And some of it is also related to books that I've been writing about the shift. There's Gaia Luminous, which is basically a primer on what's going on at this time on a planetary level. You know, how do we make it through this shift that everybody's talking about? What is this shift? What are the different aspects of it? How can we co-create and participate as fully as possible with the hearts, minds, and spirits open? And Homo Luminous, these books are just now this week coming out on Amazon.com. So take a look. And Homo Luminous is basically the Quero Inca tradition and the Ilahinu tradition, which I'll be sharing during this weekend in book form. So it's like a practical manual. I should say also that, you know, I'm really excited about this next trilogy of books that's coming through. And it's like a metaphor for this evolutionary journey based on the life of Jesus, or Isa, as he's known in the East, and the bigger story. You know, his life in Kashmir, in India, the journeys, the travels, the teachers, the children, and the evolving. It's like there's aspects of the story which very few people know about, which is really about our story. It's how we connect, which is the true message of what Jesus was trying to share, which many in the Christian world have not been ready to hear. So take a look. And meanwhile, you know, I'm delighted to be part of this program with you all. Thank you, Sheila, for inviting me. I'll just share my website, kiarawindrider.net.
Awesome.
And
Kiara,
I also have a channel on the Conscious Awakening Network. So
yeah,
take a listen.
I was just getting ready to say that. So, you know, I really appreciate your being here. Appreciate your being my co-host for tonight and sharing all the exciting things that you're doing. Adrian, oh, thank you again so much for being here, because the reality is all of the work that's being done is just adding and putting in so much more love into the collective consciousness. And it really takes efforts like this to help to shift, because, you know, there's still people that if people have a flat tire, they just ride right by them. It's like, you know, get a better car, get a, you know, whatever. They've just, whatever their attitudes are. You know, there was a piece of wood in the road and Kiara's like, oh, we got to pick that up. We need to move that to the side because it might actually cause, you know, injury or an accident to someone. And so, you know, you can really feel the energy coming off of these actions of love, and how they either are feeding the effort and raising the vibration, or how they just kind of like, they just stop everything, you know. And so efforts like what you're doing, things like what you're doing, Kiara, things that all of you guys are doing every single day, you know, people buying an extra cup of coffee for the person in line behind them, you know, letting somebody in front of you in the grocery store, you know, letting somebody jump in front of you in the gas line, you know, all of these little things add up. All these little random acts of kindness are really feeding that collective. And so I want to thank you so much for doing so much work to feed the collective, to support Gaia. Again, just thank you so much for being here.
Appreciate it. Thank you all. Really appreciate the time.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And Kiara, again, thank you. And if people are interested in attending Kiara's workshop, it's not too late. You have one more day. We start tomorrow night. You can drop me a line at Sheila at SheilaSeppi.com, SheilaSeppi.com. at SHEILASEPPI.com. I'll give you all the information that you need to attend the workshop. Kiara, did you have something that you wanted to say?
Yes, there was a question from Jude about where to find this information that I just mentioned about Jesus. So there's a trilogy of books that I've been writing, which is available now on Amazon. Isa, son of the sun, is the first. Then there's Miran, daughter of the moon. Miran is his wife in Kashmir. And then Elmira, child of the stars. So this is their daughter, who is basically the Manu for the new root race. So she's here to become a template of what's possible for the new race of humans. It's a fascinating story, and it's just amazing how this research has been coming through and also then merging with personal recollections and insights. So take a look.
Beautiful. And I do just want to let you know that there was some beautiful comments made on YouTube about focusing on the eternal work and not the illusion of the planet. And so I want to thank Dr. TM for all of the beautiful comments that were made, and for everyone for all of your comments. So until we're back together again next week, I want to say thank you. I appreciate you, sending you all much love, and namaste. Have a beautiful rest of your week, everyone. And good night. Thanks so much, everybody.